Good day, everyone. This is Piney Niels, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and here at DDO Players. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculetta.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Everything's going fine over here. And now, the big news for this week is that Lamania has been invaded by gnomes.
Oh, it has started, Pine Leaf. It has started.
Gnomes are coming. They're coming for you.
So many gnomes, Pine Leaf. Oh, I said it again. Dang it! This is your fault. I blame you. I blame you for this.
Gnomes are coming. They're coming for you.
Okay. So
Yes.
many little G's running around on Lamania. There you go.
Right.
I said it
because-
correctly this time.
That's right, because the first part of Update 30 has been posted on Lamania, which includes a new race and some little changes in our itemization. So let us go into the release notes that are now available on Lamania.
So was that an intentional joke there when you said little? Or was that unintentional?
That was not intended to be a pun in any way.
Okay, well, very well played, though, even though it was unintentional. Yes, the release notes were up, and once again, the caveat, this is Lamania only, and all of this is subject to change. The whole point of the build number 1 up on Lamania is, of course, for the little G's. The regular ones and the deep gnomes are all up. Oh, God, I said it again. Dang it, Pine Leaf. This is your fault. You started this. It is your fault. You did this.
Gnomes are coming. They're coming for you.
I think you need to learn how to say Zwerfniblin.
Sure. Okay, so, yes, the regular and iconics are both up, and also, besides the little G's that are running around, and trust me, we will talk about it later, but we both did preview videos, and there were so many of the little guys running around, it was crazy. It's Nomageddon, I'm telling you, it's gonna happen. The other interesting things about the beta right now, and I guess it's not really a beta, but the preview, I should say, is the Kenneth Crafting, the new randomly generated loot from Update 29, can now be deconstructed properly.
Thus disproving my hypothesis that I gave a couple of weeks ago that the reason it wasn't working properly was because it would be impossible to decon the new itemization into the current Kenneth system because the new Kenneth system is being delayed.
Right, which we will talk about in a little bit.
Right.
Also, the Arcane Archer now has an active Tier 5 ability called Final Strike, which will deal an area of effect damage on hit and deals an additional damage to injured enemies based on the hit point of the total enemy. And I want to check this out because that sounds freaking amazing.
Ooh, yeah, and let's see. I'm starting to creep close to unlocking Tier 5 levels. I think I'm just getting ready to unlock the Tier 4, so.
And there is also a lot of Artificer Arcane Technician love going on Lamania right now. And a special note about this, the Arcane Technician tree changes that are on Lamania is not meant to represent a full Artificer pass. These changes were simply what Steel Star put together in his spare time, actually, because he wanted to have it. He wanted to get these in, even though a full pass of the Artificer is not yet on the schedule.
All right. And I've been pretty much ignoring the Arcane Technician, I believe, in my build that I've got. I have a pretty mixed build as it is, because I wasn't too impressed with it. So maybe this will change that.
Well, you might be impressed now. The first core now grants plus 10 electric spell power. Fourth core is the Lightning Bolt, and that is now an SLA. which that sounds like it could come in very handy. Lightning Bolt now passively grants a +1 evocation DC. The fifth core is your critical admixture, now passively grants a +1 evocation DC. and so on and so forth. You can read these full, complete patch notes up on our site. Of course, we link to the forum post about them. Also, a few other changes. The Epic Destinies, Exalted Angels, Exacerbate, that's a hard word to say, ability has been fixed to no longer stack upon itself too many times, which could cause lag.
Excoriate?
That is the word that I tried to say, and apparently I pronounced it wrong. And some other little small changes. The proper potions of mnemonic enhancement will now appear in various loot tables, and there was much rejoicing. The maximum possible bonus loot level to a chest has been lifted. Players now should see chests of the appropriate adjusted loot level, regardless of their character level. And once again, all this is Lamania only for now. The Magna Feedling Creature Companion, also known as the one that looks exactly like Harry, is no longer bound to account, and it's now unbound and re-available in the store. Once again, Lamania only for now. And the spooky bonus type, primarily found on the Night Rebels items, has its name changed to Festive. That is to support the bonus being used on non-scary things.
I see more festivals coming up.
I was going to say that may or may not be a hint of things to come. And Blank End rewards should no longer be appearing in Three Barrel Cove and a few other questing areas where this was a problem. And I think one of the biggest things in the release notes is broccoli juice and bacon have now been added to the taverns. We now have bacon in the taverns, folks.
All right, that is, and I believe that is supposed to be a level 30 type of.
Yes, I looked at
restoration.
I didn't look at it too close. I need to actually look at it more because I read that and I'm like, whoa, bacon, sweet. And the other big thing, one thing I was so excited to read. You should no longer see not thousands, but at least 5 or 6 Asomium processes in your task manager anymore when you run the DDO client. And yes, much rejoicing about that.
Much rejoicing.
What's going to happen now is when it needs the Asomium process, it will call it, it will use it, and then it will close it automatically, which I think that's how it should have been done from day one. Not sure why it was never done that way. And the big thing why that's exciting... Well, go ahead, Bobby.
I was going to ask, what exactly does
the Asomium process, that's if you open up the store, it needs that process to run the store. If you open up the in-game browser, it needs that process to run that. It needs it for several other things as well. And what used to happen is every time you would do that, it would leave the process running. So if you, for some reason, like, let's say you were in like a 2-hour gameplay session, and you opened up the store, say 4 times, you would have 4 Asomium processes running. And why that is bad is that will slowly start causing your computer to start lagging. Not the game itself will lag, but it's not actually the game, it's your computer, because you're running out of memory, your processor is getting taxed too much, etc., etc., etc. So what's nice now is that will, like, if you open up the store, it's going to call that process. When you close the store, it's going to close that process. Which then again, don't understand why it was never done that way to begin with. And then the other big thing that I know I saw on the forums a lot of people were excited about. Personally, I don't use the in-game chat at all, so I don't really care either way. But the party member voices can now be adjusted individually on a slider bar when you are in a party.
Thank goodness. So as you say, that many of us have gotten so tired of how that thing works in the first place that we use alternate means.
But apparently, from the rejoicing that I saw on the forums, there must be a lot of people that still use in-game chat. So yes, and it was interesting to hear there was Steel Star and Cordovan were on DDO Cast this weekend, which that is now up on their podcast feed. So if you subscribe to DDO Cast, you should have it in your feed. They were on the show, and I do believe it was Jerry, or it might have been Steel Star, that said this change actually came about due to a change that they made over on Lotro.
But it's not on Lotro yet.
That's what I thought. So apparently it must going to be coming to Lotro too.
Yeah, all right. So,
but yeah, they were able to, because Lotro made some change, and they were able to take advantage of it because of what they did DDO was able to take advantage of that change.
Okay.
So
Because I was assuming that they were testing out a new system that they were
Which-
going to eventually port over to Lotro. I didn't realize it was the other way around.
Which, yeah, a lot of the times that seems to what happened is DDO will test some stuff out and then it will eventually get ported over to Lotro, or sometimes it's the other way around, and apparently this was one of those times. So that is your release notes for update 30, round 1 on the Mania, which I was on there a little bit this afternoon. It is still up. Don't know when it'll go down for an update, but Cordovan did say look for some of the newer quests and stuff. You'll be able to check that out in the next round, which will be soon. TM.
Now, of course, the reason why I was up today is because the people at Turbine were off work today.
True, I didn't even think about that, but you're right. That's why it was still up. I did not think about today was a holiday. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So then let's head into the Mania known issues.
There are a few, and once again, this is Lamania only, so this does not affect the live servers in the least bit.
We hope not, at least, especially that second half.
Yeah, there's some big things in here. The update 30 specific ones, some icons are missing in the G enhancement trees.
You would have seen that if you saw my little vid.
Some icons are also missing from the DDO store, which I noticed that today because I was checking something out because I'm going to make another video about something. The first dance for the male Gs is incorrect and will be changed in the second build, according to Cordovan. And the Arcane Technician's arcane mechanism is not yet functioning. And then a few of the other things, if you're going to check out the little G guys on Lamania, there are certain things you should not do because they are not fully implemented. And that would be make an Artificer Arcane Marksman, a Rogue Master Mechanic, a Favorite Soul Divine Avenger, the Monk Haitian Mystic, the Monk Ninja Spy, Monk Shinto, the Paladin Mighty Protector, which is kind of funny to think about a little G being a Mighty Protector, a Barbarian Storm of Gargon, Fighter Whirlwind Fighter, Fighter Stewart Soldier, and the Warlock Eldritch Blaster. All are not yet fully implemented for the Gs on Lamania.
I should tell you that one of the most... Actually, I think the very first little G I ever encountered in a pen and paper game was, in fact, a paladin.
Really? That just does not compute in my brain for some reason. Don't picture them being a paladin.
Yeah,
a rogue, yes. A wizard, sure.
The player she wanted to go against the stereotypes.
Well, she succeeded tenfold.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So I do notice that some of these later ones, they only list one of the two builds as not being complete. Does that imply then that you could do a 28 build Warlock Eldritch Blaster and a 32 build Fighter Stalwart Soldier?
Yes, because it's only some of them. I guess I should have read that when I was reading that, but we will have this linked in the show notes. Some of them it's just specific to the either 32 or 28 point build. They just some of the trees aren't fully fleshed out yet.
Very well. And of course, that's only if you are following a particular path. If you
Correct.
want to go custom, then anything goes.
Correct. You can build it to your heart's desire.
And as I implied earlier, the Kenneth Crafting update has been pushed back.
Yes, Cordovan posted on the forums, quote, "At this time, the Kenneth Crafting update will be pushed out of update 30 so that we can have further time on it to consider what we should do with Kenneth Crafting." So for those hoping to get that big crafting update, you're going to have to wait some more. Which, Lessa, I'm looking at you.
Well, at least now they'll be able to decon those.
Yeah, but that,
right.
And on the DDO cast from this weekend, Cordovan did say the deconstruction part will be in update 30, though. It's just the full Kenneth Crafting pass won't be. But you will be able to deconstruct your random loot on live when 30 goes live. And Dantel in the chat room is saying he thinks that the crafting has him stumped. And I think I agree with you because, okay, this is my opinion only. I just want to put that out there to begin with. I think it's such a huge mess, they don't even know where to begin to start to fix it.
Well, seeing
personally,
that, I've never figured it out, so.
It's because it's Crafting is weird, man. So yeah, just good luck to them for trying to figure all this out. But you will be able to at least deconstruct your random loot, which I know a lot of people were upset that was broken. That is going to be fixed, so at least we're getting that point. But just the full crafting pass might be in a patch to update 30, one of the patches, or it might be update 31 or 32. They don't know. They're not giving any timetable.
All right. And now it looks like that there is some sort of memory leak with Xbox controllers and DDO or something like that.
Yeah, this is a weird bug. What happened was there was a couple people that put in support tickets that were saying ever since update 29 patch 2 came out, they were having like a 97 to 98% memory leak.
What?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big leak.
Exactly, that's like, wow, your game is totally broken, Turbine. What did you do? Well, at first they were totally stumped, and one of the support techs had both of the players that were having this problem send them, a full rundown, and they were both running Windows 10. And the only other thing that they both had the same was they had installed the Xbox One controller. There is a new controller dashboard application that is from Microsoft that will allow you to run an Xbox One controller on your PC. And both of those players had this installed.
Oh, this is Windows 10, the most memory leaking operating system that exists on the face of the planet.
Maybe.
Well, I don't know. Let's just say that there are a couple of weird things that happen only under Windows 10 that I have never seen in my life on any other operating system.
So the tech at Turbine said, okay, just rule everything out, why don't you uninstall that controller software and unplug your controller? Once they did that, the problem stopped.
Okay.
So this only affects you if you're running Windows 10 and you're running the new Xbox One controller software and you have your controller plugged in. And I did read on another site, and I can't remember what site it was, there was a couple other games that are experiencing the same issue. So it's something with that Microsoft controller software, apparently. And this is just like one of those weird, very specific, strange bugs that creep up every now and again. So just a word to the wise, if you're running Windows 10 and you want to run an Xbox One controller on your PC and play DDO, don't. I'm assuming Microsoft will probably fix the problem because, as I said, I've seen this reported on several games now, so it's not just related to DDO. So I'm sure there'll be a fix for it I don't know why you would want to play DDO with a controller, but
I'm wondering about that myself, yeah.
I guess I've never tried it. Maybe, I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me to play DDO with controller, but I know there are people that do it, so just word to the wise, don't do it if you're on Windows 10. I guess from what it sounds like, and there's no evidence to support whether the 360 controller will do this as well. Nobody has reported that that controller was causing this problem as well. It's very specific to Windows 10 and the Xbox One controller.
Very well. Now I have a question for you.
I probably have an answer.
Right. What does a Hobgoblin, a Time Lord 69, and an RD2 Play have in common?
They're all on the Players Council this year.
That's right.
Yes. The official list has been put out for the people that have made the Players Council, and I see one of our former show guests has made the council. That would be Even Note. Her name jumped out right away when I was looking at this list, and a couple of these other names I do recognize from being on the forums a lot, Mike R. DDO, and Yurlak. I recognize those two because they're pretty active on the forums. But you can see the complete list. We will have the link to it. There is quite a few people on the council this year.
Yeah. And it looks like a couple that have some pretty interesting banana hat,
Yeah, I was kind of laughing at some of. There was another one too. I forgot. Of course, now I can't see it. Oh yeah, Nacho Mama's House. That's a good one too. So congratulations to everybody that made the Players Council, and may it be a great year, and may you help shape DDO to make it the best game ever, as we're hitting 10 years, so that's awesome.
All right, then let's head into the best online fantasy game by MMO Games, and what's the latest on that?
DDO is now currently in second place, finally.
Second place.
We are in second place behind Black Desert Online. And we are solely in second place. The third place game right now is Elder Scrolls Online, and DDO is about 4,000 votes ahead of them.
Oh.
So we've got a long way to go to catch up with Black Desert Online, but I just think it's pretty amazing that DDO went from basically being on the bottom to second place. So that just goes to prove how awesome of a community all the DDO players are.
And what exactly is Black Desert Online?
That is a new game. Well, technically it's not new. It's out in Korea now, but it's going to be ported and it's going to come out in the North America region. I think the official release date for it is next month. They've had a bunch of betas.
Okay. Is it a typical Korean game?
Yes.
But so in other words, I have no need to bother with it.
The one thing I'll say about it, though, is Black Desert Online, the graphics and the character creation are crazy. Do yourself a favor, go to YouTube, look up some character creation videos, and there are people that are recreating celebrities in Black Desert Online, and it looks exactly like them. That's how detailed the character creation for that game is. It's insane.
Actually, now I see that Black Desert Online pre-orders are being advertised on their page. That probably might have helped their voting a little bit.
And that's I was going to bring that up too. It's not to rag on MMO games because it's a newer MMO news site and they do some pretty good work over there. But when your page that you have to vote for these games has 2 huge ads on both sides for Black Desert Online, and it's got Black Desert Online plastered everywhere, that would probably tend to skew some votes. Maybe. I don't know. And Andang's asking in the chat if Lotro was included in this. And yes, Lotro is one of them you can vote for, but it is like way down on the list. It's right now Lotro has 26 votes.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
So it's not in last place. It's beating 4 or 5 other games that look like. So.
Well, yes, being quite a number of games in there. So Wizard Online though has to be crying right now with only 1 vote.
Yeah, it's like, oh, poor Wizard Online. I just kind of want to throw them a vote just to say, it'll be all right. They're there.
Oh well. What else is happening? Oh, yes, a speed round. Dungeons & Dragons Online versus Neverwinter. What's that about?
And this is also on MMO Games. I noticed this today. They are pitting DDO against Neverwinter just to see which one people like the best. And so far, DDO is soundly winning this battle. As of this recording, DDO has 421 votes to Neverwinter's 41 votes. So then again, the DDO community is amazing. And you can vote and this is another weird thing about this MMO Games poll they're doing here. For both of these, you can vote every 8 hours. So
okay,
vote every 8 hours, and let's get DDO. By next week's show, I want to see DDO closer to Black Desert Online. We can do it, DDO community. I know we can.
All right, then let's head into the DDO Chronicle, issue 178. And is there anything interesting on this other than what is that Warforged on the top?
He's being very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I want to use. He looks like he's just at peace and he's just resting. That's not the word I wanted to use, but I can't think of the word I want to use. But that's our Chronicle title shot. We got a shout out for our interview that we did with Mike Merles and Chris Lindsay from Wizards of the Coast. We'll talk about that more in a bit. The fansite news section has DDO Cast taking a look at cloaks. So click over and watch or listen to that episode. And we also got a shout out for our episode last week of where I staunchly defended that vampires do not sparkle, and they still don't. Just for the record. DDO Gamer, Jeff was writing about moving on from playing a halfling which I will admit I have not read this article yet, but I cannot believe Jeff is going to do anything but play a halfling because he is Mr. Halfling.
Maybe he's thinking of G's.
Maybe that could be. I just haven't had time to read this article yet. I apologize, Jeff. I will read it. I promise. And do yourself a favor too. After the show is over, don't do it now because we want you to listen to the rest of the show. You need to go watch the Shady Rogues video. They go into the Temple of Elemental Evil.
Oh, they finally do that?
And I have to say, I love the Shady Rogues anyway. Best episode ever, hands down. The banter between those three is just amazing. And just go watch the Shady Rogues in the Temple of Elemental Evil. It is awesome.
I don't know. I sometimes found their language to be a little strong for my taste. So...
Well, yeah, they do tend to work a little blue, I guess.
Yeah, that is a caution for those who prefer milder language on their videos.
Shady Rogues, Temple of Elemental, best episode ever.
Right.
Those guys do such amazing work, so yeah. I should maybe try to get them on the show sometimes. I'll work on that.
Okay, just remind them that's a...
We're a family-friendly podcast?
Yeah, we're a friendly podcast, yes.
I think we have to remind Melissa of that next time she's on.
All right. And I see there's a screenshot of the week. I am trying to figure out how do you manage to
I don't know.
that shot?
I was trying to figure this out too. I think what this is some serious camera trickery going on. The screenshot of the week in the Chronicle is Gan balances on a guild ship in our 258th DDO screenshot of the week. And what it is they look like they're seriously balancing on the mast of the ship. I don't know how they did that. It's either photoshopped or it's some serious camera trickery, but it's a cool shot, though.
Okay, I thought it was some sort of a spar at the front of the bowsprit or whatever that's called.
Either way, I don't know how they did it, but it's an awesome screenshot.
Is this I was wondering, balancing on a pole, is that an emote or is there something you have to have in order to balance on a pole in this game?
No, there's no emote for it.
Then
there's really no way to do it, so that's why I don't know how he got up there.
Because I remember that there's this person who stands on a pole in the marketplace.
Yeah, one of the NPCs. Yeah, that's his NPC, and there's one of the festivals has to do with the Ganassi brothers. That I won't spoil it if you actually sit and watch that show. That has to do a lot with balancing on poles too.
Okay, but it's not something that players can do?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Maybe it's a thief acrobat trait.
I don't know, but awesome screenshot though. So congratulations, however you did it. Cool screenshot.
All right, then let's head on. And that is finally the end of game news.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Except, of course, for the store sales.
We have the free sample of the week through the 18th is the Bracelet of Friends when you use the coupon code. That can be found in the show notes. They still haven't got the good vanity codes up yet, so it's still the gobbledygook codes. One of these days, we'll be able to announce the code again.
Yeah.
They promise us we can. 30% off in the store monster manuals, the Slayer count boost, which help out a lot, trust me, the select pets and accessories, and the companion name change. And once again, I will state what I always state when this comes up for sale. Do not, I repeat, do not spend your TP to rename your companion. Just don't do it. Name your companion right the first time. That is a waste of TP, folks. A total waste of TP. Unless you have so much TP that you don't know what to do with. And in that case, you need to tell me your secret, how you have so much TP.
So my question is, this bracelet of friends, I'm trying to think of what use it could reasonably be. The only thing I could think of for it, because is this something that could be used out in the wilderness, or is this something only within? Okay, so therefore that means if I have a port that you don't have.
Correct. Like, for example, a wonderful use of it would have been last week if for some reason that I couldn't, I came on late or whatever and you were already at the dungeon entrance, you could use a Bracelet of Friends and I would be ported directly to you. It only works outside in the wilderness. It does not work inside of the dungeon.
Okay.
So they do come in handy. Once again, I don't think I would actually spend money on them, but I always get them when they're the free sample, and I have quite a few of them stockpiled. I've just never used them yet, but they're handy to have, cool to have. don't think I'd spend actual money on them, or TP, I should say, but they do have their uses. I will put it that way.
Of course, you have to actually remember to bring one with you.
That's true too.
Because usually I think I have some that I've put into my vault because, well, I need the space in my inventory. Let's head into the site news. And DDO Players interviews with Mike Merles and Chris Lindsay at Winter Fantasy 2016.
We did play this on the show last week, and if you weren't with us live and you didn't hear it, it's now up on our podcast feed and our YouTube feed both. You can check it out. Ran about 30 minutes. Had a great interview with those guys. We talked about everything from Ravenloft to DDO to the outspring of all of the people on Twitch playing Dungeons & Dragons. So we covered a lot of things in a very short period of time. And once again, thank you so much to Mike Merles and Chris Lindsay from WotC for taking some time out of their super busy schedule they had going on at Winter Fantasy to talk to us. It was a great time, and those are two great guys. So I enjoyed getting the chance to sit down and talk to them.
Very well, then. All right. Now, I've got to know is, why is a review of Boss Monster a DDO Player's news entry instead of an on-the-tabletop entry?
Because it is a review that we did. So I figured it would make more sense to be in DDO Player's news versus on the tabletop. But now that you say that, I probably should have put it on the tabletop. But
yeah, because whenever I've done a review, I've always
I probably should have put it on the tabletop. Yeah. So we'll pretend it's on the tabletop, or just for you, we can skip it and talk about it when we go on the tabletop. It's up to you.
All right.
I give you the power, Pine Leaf. You have all the power.
Well, we're talking about it now, so.
Boss Monster is a card game from Brothers Wise Games. And what it is you are the boss of a dungeon. And you have to build your dungeon out. You have 5 cards. And so that equals 5 rooms of a dungeon. And you build your dungeon out the best way you can with the cards that you're dealt. There are some cards where you can, get rid of your whole hands and draw new cards, or you can draw cards or what have you. There's, some rules like that in there. But you lay your dungeon out, and then heroes show up in town, and then they are attracted to your dungeon with the, lure of whatever specific thing they're looking for. Like fighters look for, swords, thieves look for money bags, and there's icons on each card. And what you do is you go around, it depends how many people are playing, and you go around and look to see, okay, like I have 3 swords in my dungeon, and nobody else at the table has 3 swords. They only have like 0, 1, or maybe 2 swords. So the fighter will come to my dungeon. So the fighter moves into my dungeon, and then if I don't kill that fighter, and each hero has a different amount of hit points, it just depends on the hero, I have 5 chances to kill that hero before he gets to my boss. If I don't kill him, I take a point of damage, and I don't want to take more than 5 points of damage or I die. But I want to collect 10 souls from heroes to win the game. It's a very strategic game, but as I said in my review, I enjoy the game immensely. It's a fun game to play. The graphics on the cards are great because it's designed like an old 8-bit game. So if you spend a lot of time playing 8-bit, video games like on the NES, Super NES, the graphics on the cards, you'll be right at home. My biggest complaint with the game is you're really, really, really stuck with your random luck on the cards you get. Because there could be a point where you have just crap cards and everybody else at the table has a much better dungeon than you to start out with. Like their first 2 pulls are great and yours are crap. You're going to be screwed the rest of the game. That is my biggest problem with the game. Other than that little slight aspect, it's an awesome game and I highly recommend checking it out. And it is also available on iOS, Android, and Steam as well. We reviewed the Steam version as well. Wonderful, wonderful game. Great port of... It's one of the better ports of a tabletop or a card game I have seen converted into a video game. Usually those ports are not that good. This one is excellent, and the best thing about it is the tutorial If you are having problems with the rules, you play through that tutorial. It explains the rules immensely. So great job on the port for Boss Monster, I should say. And I want to give a big thanks to Brothers Wise Games for sending the review copy of the card version, and to Plain Concepts for the review copy of Steam version of Boss Monster. So check that out. It's a great game to add to your shelf to pull out on game night.
Yes, but I noticed that the reviews on Steam seem to be a little bit on the mixed because people didn't like the latest version, it looks like.
Which, yeah, I didn't understand because I wasn't seeing what the reviewers on Steam were seeing. Wasn't seeing that in my playthroughs of the Steam version. So I don't know why I was having a totally different experience than they were.
So you weren't seeing all the troubles that they were seeing.
No. The only thing with the Steam version is I did have a couple like weird random crashes now and again, but it didn't happen like every time. Like maybe 1 out of every 10 times I was playing, it might have like crashed out. But, you know, other than that, that was like the only thing that I did see, and I didn't even really include that in my review because it wasn't consistent enough to where I thought it was like an actual problem with the game. It was just like some, you know, weird thing that happened. Maybe it probably happened to me twice out of the, I don't know, I probably played the Steam version 30 or 40 times probably, and I think it crashed on me maybe 3 times at the most.
Might be something to do with operating system or computer setup or something like this, because it's like half the people are saying, this is wonderful, great, and other people are saying, it crashes all the time.
Right, exactly, and that's just weird because I wasn't seeing that. I mean, I was seeing some crashes, but not all the time. And I know one of those reviews on Steam I read, they said it was unplayable. They would launch it, and it would crash right away. And I'm like, that's weird, but okay.
All right, then let's head into what we have been up to. And I heard that you got into Lemania and took a look at our newest update.
I did. What I did is I concentrated because I knew this is what everybody was going to want to see. They wanted to see the beards and the hairstyles and the facial details and all of the looks for our new little G brethren that will soon be out and about on the live servers whenever 30 hits. So I put out a video of just that. It's all it is it's looking at character creation and character customization. There was no gameplay. I am going to do a gameplay of the iconic version soon. I'll probably wait till Lemania comes back up and put that out. And big thank to Massively OP. They put up an article where they were talking about how the little G's are coming to DDO, and they linked this video in their article. In our traffic on YouTube, I can show you that they linked it because it went bazonkers after that got leaked. So I couldn't figure out. I'm like, why is this video getting all these views all of a sudden? Oh, that would be why. So thanks to Justin Alabadi, a.k.a. Sip, over at Massively, for linking our video in their article. That was pretty cool of them to do. But I also heard that you took a look at the little G's too, finally.
That's right. I thought that if you were going around showing people how to create a G, someone had to go and actually play the things. So therefore, all right. I just looked, because of what you just said, I was looking at my statistics.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking at this. All right, I got 9 or 10 for this video, 23 for this video, 16 for this video. The Nomageddon video is 301, which of course is the cap that YouTube puts on at a certain point until... So therefore it's probably a lot more than 301. They just haven't gotten around to lifting the cap yet. So yeah, that is my most popular video probably in the last year.
Everybody wants the G's, man. Everybody wants the G.
But yes, what I did is I created a wizard, because when you have a...
Naturally,
yes, with a +2 intelligence, that's what you're going to do. And I looked at the thing, and the stats, that's the most unbalanced stats I've ever had on any character. I had this super high intelligence, and I believe the Conwa, I think, was my second one, and every other stat was at most 8. Strength was at 6. 3 other stats were at 8, and then I had, I believe, 16 intelligence and... Oh, actually, no, I think might have been 20 intelligence and 8 teen con or something like this. The con and the intelligence were out the roof, and everything else was like abysmal. So that's what we had on the character, and I took the character through the collaborator on Korthos Island to
Of
see.
course you did.
Right, of course I did.
Seriously, my only thought when I was watching this video that you put up, I'm like, of course he's on Korthos. Why would he not be?
And I put my points into the racial tree, because I figure it was a video about the race, so therefore I put all of my whatever those things are called.
And that was just to clarify, that was, you did the standard G and not the iconic. You were in the standard version, correct?
Well, I'm certainly not going to do the collaborator on an iconic.
Well, you could.
It would have been silly.
Could do it on Elite and just one shot everything. I mean, it could be done, Pineleaf. There's no rule against it.
Now, one of the things that I noticed while I was running that one is that in the very first dungeon, now here we go, in the family crypt one, so going into the Hayton family crypt, doing that dungeon in there, and out of there drops a Vorpal mace, and alright, so the two things are, first of all, Vorpal at level 1, and the second thing is Vorpal mace?
I have 4 words for you, Pineleaf.
What?
Random loot is random.
Yes, random loot is that is, and in fact, there was somebody who did reply to my video that was saying, yeah, they've seen Vorpal weapons before on level 1, so it wasn't something about Lamania or anything like that. I've
seen on live. I've seen Vorpal. I'm trying to think of what it was. Oh, I got a Vorpal bow of assassinate the other day.
I'm just trying to, I guess because when I think of Vorpal, I think of something that only a sword or an axe can do, because it literally beheads them.
Right,
and
exactly.
I can't see a mace or a arrow beheading somebody.
And Brack Barefeet says he's gotten an assassinate quarterstaff before too. So I'm going to beat you over the head and assassinate you with my quarterstaff.
Yes, that is just so wrong.
Or just stab you repeatedly with my staff. It will eventually kill you. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. So therefore, there are a couple of weird things in random loot. That's all I got to say.
Random loot is random. I'm telling you.
I'll have to go with that. So let's see, what is in the screenshot of the week? 42.
This is me just stabbing I have to pull up the screenshot because I can't remember which one I chose, because it's one of mine, because once again, people, send me some screenshots. I'm tired of doing my own podcast at DDOplayers.com.
I'm watching all those floaty damage.
Yeah. Yeah. Notice all the damage I'm doing to him. Yeah. It's just basically I'm just stabbing him, just killing him. And if you would like to see your screenshot featured, send me an email with your screenshot at podcast@DDOplayers.com and include your character name and a snazzy little title if you have one. If not, I'll just make something up, and it will probably not be any good, because titles are hard, folks.
All right. Which one because I don't see any title on yours.
No, I just said Drax Rogue Illyria doing what she does best, stabbing things.
Yeah.
That's my title.
That sounds more like a description to me.
Titles are hard.
All right, DDO Players Twitter poll, editing breath sounds.
Okay, what brought this about is, number one, I have never did a Twitter poll, so I wanted to see exactly how well they worked. And amazingly, the Twitter polls on Twitter work pretty decently. So if you haven't seen them yet, Twitter actually gave you an option to do a poll. And I was listening to a Dungeons & Dragons, not online, a tabletop, Dungeons & Dragons tabletop podcast. And I noticed they didn't hardly edit their show at all. So you were hearing breath sounds and such like that. And a little behind-the-scenes baseball here for you. I edit the heck out of our podcast, to the point where a standard podcast probably takes me anywhere between 2 to 3 hours probably to edit. And I was just wondering, okay, do people really care if you hear the breath sounds in a podcast? Does it bother you that much, or does it really matter? And so far, resoundingly, the poll is saying it does not really matter to people.
I suppose because I often listen to YouTube videos, and in videos, it's a lot harder to
Yeah,
go and
that's
remove things like breath sounds.
trust me. After I did the G preview video, I really, really tried to edit that audio in that video, and it was just going to be too much work to do. And I thought, forget it. I'm going to leave that in. But
Yeah.
I guess this like goes back to for many, many years. Probably, I'm trying to think, about 5 years. I worked in radio, so I'm an audio person, and I really, really want the audio mix to be good. And that just goes back to my days in, radio, because you had to make sure that your mix was good and everything was fine. So that's kind of how I based editing the show. But I'm just going to be honest. I mean, I love doing this podcast. Don't get me wrong. Don't take this the wrong way, but it's just a lot of work to edit this podcast. And it's like, I'm like, does it really matter if I leave that in? And so far, people on Twitter that follow the DDO Players Twitter are saying it doesn't. So I guess I'll put it out to the chat room now, too.
Yeah. I don't even notice the breath sounds.
See, and I think most people don't. I think that's just me from my audio background that I have. I notice like all those little weird things. I also notice, I can tell if like people don't have a windscreen on their mics and they pop P's. I notice that too, which most people I don't think would notice. I notice little weird things about audio just because I was a DJ and I mixed audio and stuff at the radio station for like 5 years. So I had to edit that stuff out of like commercials and such. So I'm like, that's just ingrained in me. I think I worry about it too much and I notice it more than the average person does.
All right.
So let us know either on the poll on Twitter or in a comment on the show if that really matters to you guys. And if it doesn't, maybe I'll try a couple episodes just like editing out, silence, and I might edit out if like the breaths are really bad or like somebody coughs or whatever. I'll take that out. But maybe I'll leave the breath sounds in once and just see what people say if they notice any difference. It's just, I think, like I said, I think it's just me because most people really, and I've noticed a lot of other podcasts do not edit breath sounds out. And it just, I don't know, it's just weird. So let me know what you think. I was just curious.
All right, then. Then let's head into From the Dungeon. The Tomb of Horrors in 3D. Be afraid. Be very, very afraid.
I'm terrified just at that voice you made there. Much less stepping foot in the Tomb of Horrors after hearing that voice. Who knew you could do voices like that finally? Okay, I will preface this like I did in the article that I put up on the site. This module is over 40 years old by now. I'm sure most of the people that are listening to the show have either ran the Tomb of Horrors as a DM or ran the Tomb of Horrors as a player. But I will put out a spoiler warning here. If you read the article and look at the pictures, you're going to get spoiled. A lot of these pictures are going to spoil some of the traps and some of the puzzles that you'll find in the Tomb of Horrors. But what this was is over on a blog called Down Under DM, a player by the name of Josh Plunkett put together a complete 3D model of the Tomb of Horrors as he was running his players through. And when I say complete 3D model, go over to the site and check this model out. And I'm going to link it here in the chat room so people that are in the show live can see this. And we will have the link in our show notes, of course, for this. But he modeled everything out and put it together so his players were actually literally running through the Tomb of Horrors. And he spared no details at all. The traps were there. Once again, spoiler alert, Magic Mouth is there. Everything is here. And there it is now in the show notes now. Wait for the delay and it should show up in the chat room. But this is just amazing to me that he took the time to do this. And he lists on his blog the different ways that he built it. And there was several different molds and stuff that he used to build this. And some of the dungeon dressings, where he got them. And the Green Demon face, Magic Mouth, that was actually made and replicated by Josh himself. So this is just awesome, people. I'm telling you, this is amazing. So check this out. He is a wonderful DM for taking the time to do this. I don't know if I could have this much patience to do this myself, to like build something like this, but I can imagine the immersion you would get running through this and having this to look at as you're running the dungeon.
Egad.
Yeah, that took a lot of work, I'm sure.
And now, you can make money scanning your old titles. What in the world does that mean?
Well, Pineleaf, I know you have a lot of old D&D modules just sitting around collecting dust. Do you want to make $50? Do ya? I know this sounds like one of them horrible spam emails you always get.
Yeah.
But trust me, this is not a spam email. This is a real thing. DriveThruRPG is looking to build up its older library of titles, and they're willing to give you $50 to help them out. DriveThruRPG says, our goal has always been to support the RPG hobby by making every RPG title ever published available to RPG fans at just a single click. To that end, together with Wizards of the Coast, we have been digitally remastering hundreds of classic D&D titles and offering them through DriveThru and the DMGuild.com. We still have about 600 classic D&D titles to go, and this is where we need your help. So if you have some of these classic D&D titles and you're willing to scan them in, you can get a $50 bounty per title. And we did link the list of titles that they are looking for currently, and they say they will continually update that list because there's, like I said, they have over 600 they're looking for. There's not all 600 listed in the list right now, but there's quite a few. The only caveat is, to where I was actually thinking about maybe doing this because I scanned over the list and I'm like, hey, I have a couple of those. The only caveat to this is they want you to use a sheet-fed scanner to do it, and there's other certain settings that you have to go, which I linked all that in the article too. They want you to cut the spine of your book and pull your book apart to do this. And I'm thinking, no. I'm not going to destroy a 30 or 35-year-old module if it would be like, some of them were already basically pulled apart anyway, so it's not that big a deal. But if they were in a hardbound, like, spine book, there's no way I'm going to cut my book in half to do this.
Now, my question is, it's hard for me to believe that Tomb of Horrors is in this list.
It is me too. But I looked, and I think the reason why it's on the list is just from the sample that they have up for their Tomb of Horrors, it's a really bad scan of it.
So in some cases they already have one, but they want a
better scan, yes. And there is certain quality settings that you have to put if you're going to scan these in. So they're looking for the best quality scans that they can get. And you will get $50 per title, and that will go into your RPG account so you can use to buy other PDFs and such, or there is a way where you can transfer that money from your DriveThruRPG account to your PayPal account if you want to do that. But either way, it's a cool concept. More power to people for doing this, but I don't think I would pull apart some of my older modules like that. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just cherish my older books more than some people do. I'm a little, I get mad if I get a wrinkle or I rip a page or something in my so I can't imagine willingly tear my books apart to scan them in. But that $50,
well, I don't think I've got a scanner that is of a high enough quality that it would satisfy what they require.
Right, yeah, and I said I did link the exact settings they want. It's pretty, they're looking, when I say they want the best quality scans, they want the best quality scans. So it's not like you could just, use your flatbed scanner and hold open the book and scan it and send it to them and they're going to give you $50.
They're not going to give you $50 for that. In fact, they might already have one that's better than that.
Right, and that's the other thing, too, about that I was going to bring up. There's no guarantee if you even tear your book apart, scan it in and send it to them, that they'll take your scan because they might get a better copy of that same book from somebody else. And they'll use their version versus yours, and then you're not going to get $50 and your book is tore apart.
True.
I think the only way I would do this is if, I could find, I'm always reading on Reddit and stuff, people go into this Salvation Army or a used bookstore or something, and they find all these old D&D books super cheap. Okay, then I might think about it. If I could buy some of these books, and I'm talking it would have to be super, super cheap, and they were in decent enough condition to where I could pull them apart and scan them, okay, I might do it then. But there is no way I'm going to tear my own book apart.
And I have a feeling that many of my copies of these old modules might have things penciled into it. It's
Right. And
things like errata or special notes to the GM or something like that.
But that you could, I mean, technically for something like that, you could use like Photoshop or like GIMP and probably fix that. If it's not too bad, I would think.
If it's not too bad.
But this is a cool thing they're doing though, and I mean I give DriveThruRPG all sorts of credit for actually wanting to get all of this older stuff in digital copies, which is awesome to do. That is great for the RPG community as a whole. That's great. I just don't really think I would do this. I couldn't do this.
All right, then let's head into our news on the tabletop. And it looks like that after your review for Boss Monster, that there's even more Boss Monster on the way.
There is. There's going to be a special collector's box coming out, and it's going to feature the same retro appeal of the card game. And this box is designed to look like a lunchbox. The cardboard box is going to be large enough to hold 500 Boss Monster cards in protected sleeves. It measures 8.5 by 6.25 by 4 inches. It's got labeled card dividers for every current type of Boss Monster card that are out, and that's going to help you sort your collection of Boss Monster cards, and also will include 11 all-new cards that can be incorporated into your game, and those are going to be included only with the collector's box. The suggested retail price is going to be $17.95. It's going to come out later this month, but that is not all. There is also going to be a reprint of the Paper and Pixels expansion coming out this month. And the Papers and Pixels expansion was only available at the time when the Kickstarter was out. When Boss Monster first got kickstarted, that was included if you pledged a certain amount. Well, now they're going to reprint that in a different fashion, so it's different than the one you got from Kickstarter. And it's going to be a 14-card booster pack for your game, and it will be $3.99 with the manufacturer's retail price. And that is going to be out later this month as well.
$17.95 for a collector's box. Based on some collector's edition prices I've heard before, that sounds rather low.
Yeah, it is. I was actually surprised when I saw the MSRP on that was only $18, basically. I was like, that's... But, of course, you know, that it's just...
It's Boss Monster.
Well, that, and let's be honest, all it is a carrying case, basically.
Right.
Other than the fact that it does come with the 11 new cards, so it's not like you're getting a whole game with it. It's basically just carrying crate. But it's cool looking, I'll give them that. But then again, the artwork is one of the best things about Boss Monster anyway. So, and we will be sure to let you know when both of these are actually available and out in the wild. And we'll be sure to give any links we can have for them.
All right, now let's head into our week in DDO. And what were you up to before all of this news hit?
Let's see. We'll start with Kenneth. My Shader Kai is still at level 18. And I'm doing that purposely. I know somebody on Twitter asked, why in the world are you only 18 still? Well, I'm probably about level 20 by now. I'm just banking on my experience. Really, the only thing my Shader Kai doing right now is running the Devil's Gambit. I'm still trying to get that stupid quiver. Of course, it's still not dropping. I've ran, and I'm not over-exaggerating when I say this, I bet I have ran Grim and Barrett at least 150 times by now.
Wow!
And I am not over-exaggerating that number. It is at least 150 times. And I have not gotten that stupid quiver yet.
Are you sure it exists?
So that is a horrible drop rate on that quiver. And I know it exists because I see people on Twitter, they're like, oh, I got one at my first time I ran it. And I'm like, well, good for you.
Yeah, 150 people gave you the same message.
Yeah. And I know Saba Jade said she has like 2 of them. So it drops, but just not for me.
Well,
so, and I'll be honest, I'm about ready to where I think I'm just going to give up on it because at this point, I don't even care because my Ranger's going to be so over-leveled that it's really not going to help anymore because I'm just trying to get it for my Ranger. And that's the one I'm running with you. And
level 20?
Yeah. So I'm like, it's going to come to a point where I'm sure there's going to be a better quiver available for a level 20. So I don't know. Yeah, and Dantel's saying if I level up, you'll discover you don't need the quiver anymore. And I think I'm about at that point because, like Panu said, my ranger's at level 20 now, so I'm like, do I really want this quiver that bad anymore? But see, now it's just a battle of attrition at this point. It's like, I'm like, the game is not going to beat. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that, but still no drops.
When you hit level 30.
Yeah, exactly. And my ranger, which I usually don't use swords that much, I kind of do every once in a while. I have dice on the ranger. On my rogue, I have slice and dice both. So I'm trying to get slice for my ranger, so I have them both. And then again, at this point, it doesn't matter because I don't use swords that much anyway. So, to be honest, I think I'm about done with the Devil's Gambit. I don't foresee me running it. I don't know. Maybe I'll try a couple more times, but that's a horrible drop rate. Either that or the RNG just hates me, which we all know is true, but so there you go. So my Warlock set at level 9. I started running the Dalaris Tomb quest chain. I haven't ran that on the Warlock yet, and I'm running that on hard. I just did the first one, the Mystery of Dalaris Tomb, and it's always great to do that quest chain just for the fact that Gary Gygax is the DM. Just makes me smile every time, the first time I hear his voice. Just the nerd in me rejoices. And then my Druid/Rogue is level 7, which I reached level 7. I ran the Sunken Sewer, did that on Elite. I didn't have any problems because I had the Rogue level, so I could take care of the traps. If I wouldn't have the Rogue level, I would have been dead on like the first trap, I can guarantee you. So that was that. That's all I did with that. The only other thing I did in DDO is with you, and I'll let you talk about our crazy, crazy experience that we had. And then I was playing Neverwinter still, of course. My Ranger is up to level 42 now, and I'm running daily dungeons and the daily skirmishes on the Ranger, and I'm just now getting ready to start questing in the Pirate Skyhold, which...
Daily skirmishes?
Yes, there are skirmishes in Neverwinter.
And what are those skirmishes like?
They're kind of like the Lotro skirmishes, really. They're set battles that never change, but they're not set in a dungeon. They're all, well, at least the ones I've done so far at lower levels are all based outside, and you have certain things that you have to do in them. So you would say they're like Lotro skirmishes.
But are they scalable?
Yes. Everything scales in Neverwinter to your
level.
Everything
scales in Neverwinter. Okay.
Yes. And Andang is saying, I had you at skirmish. Yes, you are correct, I did. But my Ranger is getting ready to quest in the Pirate Skyhold, and that will be the first time that I am in there, and that is a level 42 zone. And I just now hit 42, so I can go there. So I'm excited to check that content out. My Warlock is at level 26 now. Once again, doing the daily dungeons and the skirmishes on the Warlock as well. And I just now started questing in the Never Death Graveyard, which I gotta say, so far, of course, my highest level character is 42. The Never Death Graveyard is my favorite area to quest in so far that I've done. I'm sure that'll change once I get into the higher levels, but that is my week in DDO and my week in Neverwinter. So how about you? What were we up to? That was just a crazy, crazy... it was just crazy is all I can say about what we did on Wednesday night.
That's right. We went into the Stormhorns to finish up that chain where we ran What Goes Up, and we went up and up and up. And yeah, now at the end, we of course found out what the whole thing, what the title meant, because yes, that is what went up, and we had to make what was going up to go down in the end. And it was a brutal dungeon, especially at the end when you start to have that
Shadowfell.
Yeah, that Shadowfell is that word always blinks from my mind. Yes, but the Shadowfell was coming in, and you're on a very precarious area where there are all sorts of falls that can insta-kill you, and you've got Shadowfell so that you cannot see a thing. Whose idea was that?
Having the Shadowfell effect on top of the snow and the kind of bluish tint that the snow causes anyway, and plus having the pink Shadowfell effect, not cool when you can fall and instant die. Not cool at all.
Not cool at all.
I don't know how many times we died.
I don't know. It was brutal.
It was
but
brutal.
At the end of it, when we finally finished it, we managed to reach level 20.
Dantel in the chat is saying, yes, the Pepto Bismol of death. I agree, sir. I agree.
All right. Oh, okay. So we were running that on top of a bismuth mine. All right.
We did complete it, though.
We did complete it.
It took probably longer than it should, and we were only doing it on normal. I can't even imagine doing that on Elite. Heck no.
I definitely want to try it. So let's go into my Ranger. Starting at level 4, finishing up on 5, where I ran the Catacombs, the Crypt of Gerard Dryden. Then in the Marketplace, I attempted Proof is in the Poison, and I just say it's happy. It was not a permadeath character. This is a video that I had posted, so therefore, if you want to see my horrible attempt at trying to run this one, you can see it. It's all for anyone on YouTube to watch. What happened during there was that I managed to miss where the where the continuation was, because it was one of those places where something is hidden because of the way the crates were lined up. They didn't realize there was something behind one of the crates. It took me a while to figure out where I was supposed to go, and by the time I finally did figure it out, all my hirelings were dead. And when your clerics are dead and your hirelings are doing nothing except to raise the difficulty of the dungeon, you die.
Well, yeah, that's usually how it happens.
Right. So then I went into the Waterworks and ran Ven's Trail, Clan Tunnel Worm, and Ven's Fate. Then ran the Sharn Syndicate, the whole thing on there. And in the Bookbinder's Rescue, the first time I ran that, I go in, you go in, bust down the door, get in, rescue the person, and the person in question, why do they insist on running to one of the other doors and causing trouble? Because it looked like that person made such a ruckus that the other people on the other end overheard them, and by the time I could bust down that door, the people there were dead.
They're just trying to help out, Pineleaf. Come on.
Help out! They're trying to help to kill their family members.
They got a little overly excited. It's,
Yeah, so therefore I had to run it a second time in order to finish that one. And then I went into the Necropolis and run Tomb of the Crimson Heart. And it was very different running this solo because I had Draculetta guiding me through last time. So now I'm trying to get in through there and says, all right, so what do these runes on this skull look like? I was expecting some big runes or something like that. Not these tiny little runes on the skull. But after some work on that, I eventually managed to get through the whole thing and complete the dungeon. And finally, on Lamania, I created Pinegeddon and ran...
That's the best name ever.
And ran various things on Korthos Island, Crypt of Dryden, the Caneth Crystal, and of course, finishing up with the Collaborator.
Then again, you're on Lamania and you're running Korthos. God bless you, sir. God bless you.
Are you saying I'm the only one on Lamania who actually runs Korthos?
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Actually, I think I might have actually seen someone else there.
Really?
I can't be completely sure. I guess I'll have to check the video and see if we see anybody else there.
Well, I'm pretty sure you're the only one there. I think everybody else like me. Korthos? Nope. Been there, done that.
Oh, well. And that is it for my week in DDO. So therefore, if you would like to help support DDO players, you could go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. And there you'll find rewards, including a mention on DDO Players News, or even be a guest host with us. And we do have a featured comment on the Tomb of Horrors in 3D. And what was this comment?
Jeff Hanna from DDO Gamers says, I'm fairly confident we will be seeing our own 3D model of this quest in DDO shortly.
Ooh. And Josh Plunkett from Down Under DM blog said, Castle Ravenloft, you say?
And that, a little backstory on this, is Josh Plunkett is actually the guy that created the 3D model of it. And in my article, I had said, now if somebody will just do this with Castle Ravenloft, And we were kind of talking back and forth a little bit. And he says he thinks he has everything he needs to actually do the same thing with Ravenloft. And I'm like, oh my God, that would be so awesome.
Ooh.
So we'll have to see if he actually 3D renders Ravenloft 2 like he did the Tomb Horrors.
Well, that would be quite
amazing is what that would be.
well, amazing, I suppose.
The word you're looking for is amazing.
All right. I suppose amazing will be a proper word to use in that case.
I could think of a couple other things, but once again, family friendly, so can't say it.
All right, then. If you would like to email us, you can send the email to podcast@ddoplayers.com, and you can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlly, DDO Players @DDO Players, Draculetta @Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles. We have 5 live shows here at the Players Alliance. On every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. Every other Thursday at 9 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. On Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locho Players News. Every other Saturday after Locho Players News, we have Tale of the Free Folk. And on the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locho Academy After School. You join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. This is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to quest responsibly.